Welcome to the Healing Manifest podcast, where we focus on the four pillars of life: physical, financial, mental, and spiritual well being. Today, we have a new episode here, and first and foremost, I want to thank Grit Studios for letting us use their space. If you have a photo shoot, video shoot, social media content, or a podcast, I would definitely suggest using them. They're an amazing agency, and their studio is very versatile as well. Please check out Grit Studios if you're ever in the area. Today now, I want to bring on a guest who I want to say is, if not the best, definitely one of the best photographers, videographers. I'm saying she is on board with some amazing artists in the city. I'm talking about people like Everything O'Shawn. She has done work with DJ Shannon Hill. I've seen amazing photography work for events and concerts for people like Mustafa the Poet. I'm saying amazing work, but today we are going to be focusing on us. So please welcome my guest here, KeemsBehindTheCam.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, it is known, you are my fiance, soon to be wife. Don't be surprised if by the time you're watching this, it is wife at that time.
Yeah.
So, I find one thing people in our lives they say a lot is like, oh my gosh, like, you guys have this relationship, everything, and we usually get a lot of our friends asking us for like how things came about, and I was like, what would be a better thing to do than just focus this episode on just what we've learned, I would say, honestly, through the process of us being together.
Yeah. Like from, I guess, like dating until now, like going through that whole, sort of path. Because I feel like there's like milestones with 100%. Each.
And I look back.
Sorry, am I holding this close enough to me?
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
And actually, I made sure that the audio was also like
okay.
Point. But I would say it really stemmed from. There's so much that came about, and I honestly say through the relationship, through the years, I've learned so much with being with you. Like, I look back at when I first met you, and we're just like, we went to the same party together, and like just how that came about. And then I think the big thing that mattered so much to me is we're able to talk after that party and just talk about like you actually were the one to ask me of what my trauma, like what are things like traumas in my life were. I can't remember exactly how you phrased it, but you made a very open conversation about traumas, and I was like, yes.
It didn't feel like trauma dumping.
No.
Yeah.
It was very like we're gonna talk about the nitty gritty, and I was just like, yes, I love this, and I was very much in a place where.
And that was the night. Was the night after my birthday party, as well. No, the day after my birthday party.
Day before,
sorry.
Yes.
No, the day after my birthday party is when we actually talked about that. So it's like we met.
Yes. Yeah.
And then literally the next day, I was like, you know what? I like this guy. I'm going to invite him to my birthday party. And you came. And it was literally the day after that we had that conversation. So
the morning.
We didn't have, we didn't even have like time aside from partying.
Yeah.
To like go on a date and like and talk. It was very much like, I don't know. It felt organic. Like it felt like we just kind of got into it.
Yeah. And what I appreciate is it's like, it was very, because at that time I was just very much, there's no way of like sugarcoating it. I was like kind of coming out of a whole phase in my life where I was just like, I was in Tinder, I was in Hinge, I was doing all that stuff, and I just knew I wasn't getting what I wanted being on there, where I'm able to like have these conversations, and it helps with getting you into that zone, but I didn't feel like there was enough of a space where I was able to just really get organic and really get to know someone. And I was just at a place where I was like, I'm ready to be in a relationship. I'd rather be in a relationship than doing this like night by night, but like someone different, like month by, like, okay, not night by night. Let me get that.
We get what you mean.
Let me get that.
Just kind of like there's no like
no consistency.
direction.
There's no direction.
It's literally it could just be anyone, anytime
Yeah.
type thing.
And I feel like a lot of us were in this culture where we're taught that it's healthy and it's a good thing, but I would say like I was really at a place where I was realizing it wasn't that great because you
Yeah.
are like I'm really giving myself to just what was kind of anyone because I wasn't opening myself to something deeper past that kind of a connection. And we met, we talked, and I was like, okay, like you're a cool person. I'm liking who this person is, and I'm seeing this as someone who's willing to have that organic connection that I really want. And I'm like, if this is what I want, I'm attracted to this person. Why am I going to keep myself like thinking, double checking all these things? No, like I have exactly what I want here. Let's just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I mean, like, before I met you, I was not dating or
Yeah.
doing anything with anyone for, like, kind of, I'd say, like, a few months.
Yeah.
Because before that, like, I kind of got out of a situation. It wasn't, like, I don't even know if it was necessarily, like, really boyfriend, girlfriend or whatever, but it was a situation and it kind of drained me. And it just made me reflect on, like, needing to take time for myself. Like, I literally didn't have the desire to even, like, just connect with just anyone. Like, so that's why when I met you and I felt like kind of like an instant attraction, it was very much like, is this like a sign or something? Because, like, I'm not just casually, like, dating or anything, like, at all. So, and it takes a while for me to like open up to someone like that. Like, I really like, I don't like a lot of people like in that way. So yeah, it was interesting like when we met, and I kind of was just like, you know what, like I also don't like to put how do I word it? Like, I don't like to take a bad experience that I had with one person and place it on the next person. I just like to take time away from like guys in general. Do you know what I mean?
To feel fresh.
To just for myself. But I know when I do get back into dating that I don't like apply like, oh, this guy did me wrong in the past, so every guy's gonna do me wrong. So I came at it from a very like open-minded approach. But again, it felt so organic. It didn't feel forced. Like, we never had to have a conversation, like a real conversation of like, okay, now we are dating. Now we are this. It was very much like,
we know what's happening.
We know what's happening. Yeah. And we started out, another thing is we started out exclusive. And it was something we mutually just agreed on. We mutually wanted, and for some reason I trusted you. Like, it, like I felt like I don't know, you just, it was very trusting, because anyone can say that, but they may not be doing that. Like, oh yeah, you're the only one. It's like, no, like I genuinely felt that from you, and I guess you felt that from me. So it just naturally was able to progress because we started with a level of like mutual respect.
And I think those are pretty much like two big like first lessons I learned in it early. It was connections need to be organic, they need to be real, and you have to be able to just be your most true self, because the more you're, as I like to say, fake the funk, the more you're doing that, the more you're gonna there's a little bit of a resentment that comes in. There's a little bit of just not you, and you just know that you're not you, and you don't value or appreciate the person that you're with because you're not your most authentic self. You start realizing like, hey, like this is someone that you're gonna probably be living with, and if you can't feel like you can be you, you're gonna feel like a prisoner in your own home almost.
Yeah.
And that, and also as you're saying as well, with taking yourself away from past experiences, like I know even myself, like not just my own experiences, but like experience of friends, and like there's a lot of conversations with guys of, oh, as a guy you have to be this way, there's this algorithmic way to be as a man to attract women, and you're just not going to be able to see that woman in a light outside of that cookie cutter resemblance.
Yeah, because you're like, okay, I can only show her this side of myself.
I'm only going to show her this. That's all she's going to accept. And when you put yourself in that mindset
Yeah.
of treating a woman as every other woman, you're going to have the same experiences you have with other women.
Yeah, and I understand how like vulnerability, like especially that quick, can be scary, but I like to go back to the fact that like it's kind of like I just keep telling people, if you know, you know. Because it really, really, really wasn't forced.
Yes.
Like that vulnerability, like I don't know, like it just was so natural. Like I felt like my body was like regulating
Yeah.
when I was with you. Like I felt safe. Like I didn't feel like strung up. I didn't feel like, okay, what's next? What's the next step? What do I do? How do I move? Like I just was so carefree.
And that's the thing, I think, where it wasn't, bringing it back to that first question that we had of talking about our traumas. Even myself, I was in a place where I was just alone and learning so much of myself from being alone and taking that time away to be by myself to learn so much of me that when you asked me that, I understood where for some people it's like, it's hard for them to answer. It's hard for them to open up in this way. But I was so at terms with my personal traumas that I didn't feel like I was giving you this, like, I wasn't giving you this precious ring. You know what I mean? It was like, I'm being honest with you. I'm giving you me. But what happens is, for a lot of people, when they do give this, and I feel like it's a lot for men because like it's a lot of difficulty to be vulnerable and be open because you may have never been opened up. So it's not just you giving this person a piece of you. You're giving this person this experience of being the first person you open up with, this first person that you've been able to emotionally let go with. You're unraveling this door that has been shut for years and has been just jam-packed, and you're putting all that to one person. So when you do that, there is a level of vulnerability, there's a level of, for lack of a better word, there's ways that this person can take advantage of you, for lack of a better way of putting it. And you are aware of this.
Very much.
And it's a scary experience. But when you get yourself to that place of being able to be at terms of it, you see it as, hey, this is me, this is what I've experienced, and this is what I've worked on. And I think you were in a very similar place because I gave you my answer, and you're just like, yeah, like, and you know what, this is for me. You gave me a very vulnerable answer, and it was things that both of us gave each other that if we were not good people, we could literally use that against the other person.
Very, very much. Yeah.
But even
it's the type of thing that, like, when people, like, you know, have arguments, they use that.
It's like, oh, this is why this happened to you.
Oh, this is why you're this, or this is why you're this way.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just, you know, that's a whole other problem.
And it's just great being at that place of yourself to be like, I told you this, but if you use this against me, I'm at a place where I'm like, oh, you used it against me.
Yeah, there's no
goodbye.
Going back on that. Like,
it's like, goodbye. You showed me who you are.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it was a very big thing, and the fact that you can have that with someone where it's like, okay, and this is where I say, and that honestly was a lot of where this podcast grew from, of recognizing those 4 pillars, of working on it for yourself so you can be there for someone.
Yeah.
So you can learn, like, okay, like,
to be your best self for someone else as well, if a relationship is your goal.
And learn that a lot, and to bring back as well with what you were saying with how got straight to it, and it was very much, okay, we're talking to each other, we're seeing each other. And
then we planned, like, our first, like, kind of trip within, like, 2 weeks-ish of knowing each other. So, like, it just kind of, like, and we'll get into, you know, that, I think at, like, a later
I was going to get that to next, perfect.
Really? Yeah, I mean, so sure. Say, like, if we have, because
I think it ties to a big lesson, because again, it wasn't one of those things where it was, because it is scary, and it's not something I want people to take as, you know, this algorithmic formula.
No, there's
because
no formula.
You can't really just trust anyone to travel with. But we were both at a place where it's like, all right, we saw enough of an eye to eye. We want to actually do a relationship here. Okay. I knew I was like, if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna work on things together, we need to know what we're working on. So they say that you see the worst of someone when you travel with them and when you live with them, and there's a third thing I can't remember right now. And I was like, okay, let's experience that.
Experience the traveling part.
And I had to go to Atlanta for a recording and to work with someone down there. Shout out Black Cat. And you had some clients that you had as well down there. So we're like, all right.
Shout out Trey.
Shout out
and
Trey.
Kirk and all that.
We're going to go to Atlanta then.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, 2-3 weeks in, first trip, boom. And never forget that trip.
Yeah, and it was like what, like a week or something, or like 5 days, maybe no, like 4 or 5.
Something like that.
It was like 4. It was like a 4 or 5 day thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, we got our Airbnb, and you know, it was very much wake up in the morning, go through the day. There were times when like you were working and then I was away, but then we'd, you know, get back together and then have meals together and like figure out like, you know, just like navigating and just being with each other through the whole day for multiple days in a row. And then, yeah, like even like, because traveling can be stressful. So it's like the stress of traveling. And I remember it was like kind of like still a weird time with COVID. It wasn't during COVID. It was like, this is 2022. So we were allowed to travel, but you still needed those documents and all of that stuff. And like, you were stressed out by certain things there, and I saw how you were handling stress, and then you saw how I was handling stress at other times. Like, it was interesting. It was interesting to see. And like, yeah, there wasn't ever like a red flag or anything for me, which is great. But there was definitely me learning like, okay, like when he gets stressed out, like he gets like a little bit quiet, and then he needs to kind of like breathe a little bit.
Okay.
And be like, okay, you know? So it's good. No, it was good. It's a good thing, because some people get stressed out and they literally go on a rampage. So
yeah. And it was
I was like, you know what? He's handling he's handling his stuff well. It makes sense. High stress environment, customs, all that. It's annoying. So it was good.
We learned a lot through that.
Yeah. Coming back.
Yes.
Coming back from the south is not.
Ooh, that was funny.
Not the most fun, but.
Yeah, like, and it was really at that point where I was like, okay, like, that was smooth. Okay, I could definitely see myself living with this person, and yeah, like I'm just someone who. I've also just not been a person who really likes. I never liked dating casually, to be honest, because
small talk and all that, and
the small talk, and it's like, okay, we're gonna get this emotional connection with each other, and I just don't want to experience meaningless heartbreak.
Yeah, or like confused vibes, because that's another thing about like just like the dating culture right now, because that's like the main thing. It's like. It's very confusing, because it's not like the culture is not like, okay, we meet each other or like go out for the intention of dating exclusively, being together, etc., etc., etc. People are so fluid and casual about it now that it's like, you know, sometimes it's hard to read the vibes.
Yeah. Like, we're just figuring things out, but the problem is when you're just doing this, figuring things out and not actually...
There's always feelings involved.
There's always feelings involved, and you're not giving yourself that space to be on the same footing as the other person, where as much as it was for us, where it was just like, oh yeah, we're together, we know we're together. There are still places for a conversation of like, okay, we're together, we know where we're growing next, we know what is the thing we're working on right now and what we would want to work on next. Where it's not like, okay, like it's not even a matter of are we even at this place to begin with to talk about this.
Yeah, I just really appreciated how we were both, because this is a big thing. You have to be transparent with the person, and we were both very transparent about what where we were at through the development.
Like, I was very much like, I'm like, okay, no pressure on you, no pressure on right now, but I do know that in like 15, 20 years, I would want to be with someone that I could be like, okay, we're parents together and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and we were able to just like open up and just kind of like not like so directly like
Yeah.
because you know you're so I don't know how to describe it. It's so hard to describe, but like through the conversations that you choose to have with the person, it needs to be intentional in a way. Like you need to like learn about where their head is at. Obviously, like it's not all just about fantasy. And when you see each other, it's just we're just gonna escapism.
Yes.
Like, you know, you need to like. It's kind of like when you watch like Love is Blind. Like I don't like. It's not exactly like that because that's a little bit too like.
It's
like,
an extreme.
It's very extreme, but like the way that they have like the questions that they ask, like that's literally what we were doing, but in an organic way.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like I was like, okay, I need to remember to ask him this or that. Like it just came about, and then we embraced those conversations because I feel like a lot of people, like through modern dating, like I feel like people get scared when those questions are brought up, and they're like, why are we even talking about this? Like we're just having fun right now. Like I don't want to talk really about marriage or like all this stuff. And it's like I'm not saying it's for sure it has to be you and I and we're only talking for 2 weeks, but it's like
and it's not even
I would like to know where your head is at.
And it's not even to say like, oh, everyone needs to get married, but it's like you have to be honest with yourself of what it is that you want. And if it's marriage, it's marriage. But if it's something else or some kind of different kind of tie of what you want with someone, and it's like, okay, how long do I want to grow with this person? And if you're someone's like, I want to grow with someone for like 5 years, but you're with someone who wants to grow with someone for 30, you know this is something that may not work, and vice versa and so forth.
Yeah.
So that was something that we were able to like work on right away of like, okay, I was like, I want to be able to be with someone for as long as I could probably live. And you were very much the same way. And it's like, all right, we're going to work on these things. And we both, what made things so much better too is we worked enough in similar fields where it is hard with someone that, especially with what we do, yourself being a videographer and photographer, super talented, like I said, someone who does that, and you're going to have nights where you're going to be out late working. You're going to have days where you have to pull all-nighters. At that time, I wasn't even just yet a DJ yet, but I was exploring it a bit because I had to do a couple of gigs, and I was very much a music producer, so I understood the field enough of, you're going to be out late, and we understand that trust, and it is a thing.
Yeah.
Like being able to be like, okay, this is your job, and I understand what is your job. And it doesn't mean that you have to be in the same fields, but you have to be able to fathom enough.
You have to be able to understand what they're doing and not project your whatever like issues or insecurities too much onto them to the point where it will get them to feel maybe, I don't know if the word is guilty or just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that becomes such an issue where it's like the one person, like, listen, insecurities, like, that's natural. Like, we all have a level of insecurity with something, and like, that's fine, but there needs to be a level of your insecurity that is manageable. For example, like, you should be able to just kind of solve those insecurities through conversation and reassurance and understanding. But if someone truly intrinsically doesn't like understand or have the space in their mind to understand something about you that you shouldn't have to change, then that needs to be considered for like moving forward.
And you have to really be able to be honest with yourself of like there's gonna be times that you're gonna have insecurities in a relationship because you guys are very like, we have a lot of fears of the word of like lack of a better word, ownership of each other. But it's like yeah, like if I'm gonna say that you're mine and you're gonna say I'm yours, there's a bit of that feeling that's there, and you're gonna have those little bits of insecurities, and you have to understand like, okay, this feeling that I'm feeling, it's more of an insecurity than it is rooted in any facts here. And a relationship is still a dive. It's diving in and being like, I trust you. I've put my trust in you. We're going to do this. We're going in with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the things I learned there with you through it. And from there, from us, what what was I saying last? Yeah, I was saying we traveled together. From there, we ended up before the end of that year living together.
Yeah,
And I
and
was
we'll get into that. I want like a whole other
yeah.
episode of talking about
Yes, we're
that.
not gonna get to the us
Yeah,
living together
because
part just yet.
that could go.
Whew, we learned so
For
much from that
yeah,
there.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it was still the matter of us being able to just say, okay, we're getting to this stage of understanding and learning each other. We're doing that part there. And one of the things that we also ended up doing is we said to ourselves in the dating process, which I think needs to be more of a topic in today's era, is the socioeconomic status and changes that have occurred with us, the political side of things that came about. And we look at so much things and we have so much of the expectations of what our parents had. But I think it's time that we drop the expectations, understand that we're in a new world right now. And it's like being able to say, okay, realistically speaking, this is what I do, this is what you do, this is how we're going to be able to help each other. It's not about just saying, well, I want this.
Yeah.
This is what I think my life needs to be, so you need to be able to bring that. It's we both have this kind of goal. How are we going to approach this goal? How are we going to reach this goal? This is how we're going to do it. So this is what we're going to do. This is what it's going to take for us to build the infrastructure and grow from there.
Mm-hmm. I think with that, it comes with realizing that obviously, like, there's no one is perfect for you. Like, I don't know how to describe.
Yes, that was a perfect way to say that.
Yeah, like I don't know how to describe that, and I guess more in the sense of like perfect in the sense of matching your fantasy or your expectation, because that's not what humans are. We're people, like we're imperfect, and so it's about being able to show a level of grace for the person and for yourself and for the situation, because, and obviously, to a level, because, you can't feel like you're hurting yourself being with someone, but I mean more so in the sense of like the things that you said, like understanding the social climate, the political climate, the economic climate, all of these things. We need to understand that we're also not living linear paths in life. There's going to be times, and this is just a given, this is what I like to tell a lot of people, there's going to be times where your partner is thriving and there's going to be times when they're not thriving. Like, and that could be emotionally, that could be mentally, that could be physically, that could be spiritually, and that could be financially. Like, things are a wave. So for you to say, oh, my partner needs to be like this, and this, and all of the pillars, even if we want to bring that in, like placing that expectation, it's like, great, cool. It may seem nice that you know what you want in a sense, because to understand what you'd want in a partner emotionally, spiritually, whatever, is great. But allow yourself to understand that when you have that, that's great. You find someone that shows that to you at face value when you first meet them. There's going to be periods where it's not always like that, and you have to be able to understand that and balance that out and be there for that person and vice versa.
It's kind of like, I'm just realizing if you think of it as an analogy, when we do that, of being like, because it happens on both sides. What I hear of it on the male side, it's very like, oh, like, what do you bring? Actually, no, it's kind of a both sides. It's a very common thing that's said right now in the common grounds of society. It's, what do you bring to the table? You have to bring this, that to the table.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Let's talk about, okay, what do we want on the table? Like,
yeah, in the first place.
What do we want on the table? Okay, so if this is what I want on my table, you cook, the rice and peas, you cook the chicken, you cook this, that. All right, this is what we have brought to the table together here now. Oh, you brought this recipe already. Perfect. We don't have this recipe. We're going to get that together. It's almost like when you work with someone tries to come to you and work with you. I think anyone who's like definitely in the media field knows this analogy I'm about to say, and I'll break it down for everyone to get it. But it's like when someone just comes to you and says, hey, yo, let's collab. Mm-hmm. Like, they see everything that you bring to the table, but that person's not going to want to collab with you if you're not bringing an equal amount essentially there, or they're not able to. And even if someone's bringing equal value, if you're not actually bringing somewhere, it's like, okay, this is an opportunity of growth for both of us. We're thinking of this as how we can both grow together from this collaboration. A lot of times people are not going to want to accept that collaboration. In the same way, if you're just so focused on what this person's bringing to you and not what you can do for this person and how you and that person can grow together, that person's probably not going to want to work with you in that way.
And that's why also, like, because you're talking about, like, collaborations in, like, the work sense, it's like, think about it, like, not every person who you approach for a collaboration is going to want to do that with you. They're going to want to do it with someone else, but it's just like,
happen.
A relationship, like a romantic relationship. Like, not everyone is going to see that and feel that click to want to do the work.
Yes.
To get to that. So it's a good analogy. Yeah, it's a good analogy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You help me with these then.
No.
And I was going to say next, reminding me what the part of the politics bringing in is you can't be with someone and your idea of growth is how you can change the person. Mm-hmm. You have to look at things as this is the person. How I always looked at things, and I said to myself, is I'm not looking to change a person. I'm looking more so at this is the person this is who they are. We can grow together, and we can look at ways that we learn, educate, and all these things together. How open-minded are we to do those things, those very root parts of it? That I'm always like, I know I want to be able to have kids. Like, I'm not going to say that, but anyway. I want to be able to have kids. And how are you going to be, like, as a mother? How can I see you as a mother? Like, how, like, if we are, like, look at it this way. Bring in the politics side to it. If I'm someone who is if you're someone who's very pro-abortion, you're with someone who's anti-abortion, it's probably not going to work, because what's going to happen now if you guys have a daughter and your daughter's like
right, because it's not even just happening to you,
it's
and
not just happening
could
to
be
you.
your daughter,
yeah, and they come to you and they're like, they're 17, 18 now, and they're like, I need to figure out what to do. And you have one parent who's like, extremely one way, extremely do this, you extremely do that. That's going to cause arguments for each other. That's going to cause trauma for that child now. These are the things that's like kind of have to think about. And that's a very big example, but looking at all the different ways that there is a disagreement of things and saying, okay, this can be a thing if, kid, family, all these things are brought into it. Can we discuss these things together and find an actual compromise of understanding of each other, or are we going to always have a bit of animosity towards each other for these disagreements?
Yeah, and that will lead to resentment.
Yes.
And all those things. So people need to definitely like keep these in mind in terms of like these types of conversations. Yeah.
And we shouldn't be afraid to have these conversations, like
early on.
Like, talk about all these things, because the one thing I hear often, and it's a scary feeling, when you are 6 to 8 months in with someone and you find out that they have a viewpoint that you're just like,
it's a deal breaker.
This is a deal breaker. This is not for me, but I've already built all of this base with this person. What am I going to do?
Yeah, it's very scary. So, like, to me, it's like I approached it with you, and like I would say I've been the most vulnerable with you out of all people that I've dated. Same. Yeah, that's good. I don't know why I did that. It's funny.
It's routine. Wonder Twins, power activate.
Yeah, something like that. But to me, it's like, I don't care if I ask a question that's outlandish, in modern dating sense, and it turns the guy off. I don't care. I really don't care. It's not worth it for me to like hold my tongue, bite my tongue, whatever the saying is, and just navigate through the relationship with all these questions that I'm afraid to ask, because that will seep into other issues of just lack of communication in general. Like I feel like when you start things that way, where you're like, okay, like I'm going to hold off on asking this or asking that because I don't want to come off as too much. It's going to get to a point of, if the person even hurts you, you're going to find it hard to communicate about how you feel, about when you get hurt. It's going to seep into other areas of the general communication.
And that's the thing. And look at us even able to have like this conversation here today, and this is very much like the level of openness that we just have with each other. And I like how, and I will give you the credit, like you open up a lot of those tough conversations, and I appreciated it so much, because like you would be like, what do you think about this? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to start off with this. And you're like, okay, I'm listening. And it's like, okay. And then I will say my piece, and you're saying your part. And we're learning from each other. And I'm like, I appreciate this so much. It's so important to be able to be open with each other. Of like, okay, this is you. And even if because there's, like you said, no one's a perfect version of the fantasy you put in your head for. But if there's a thing that you guys disagree on, if you guys are at least able to be like, okay, I see why you think that way. Okay, I understand now. I'm more open-minded to what you think. And that's the key part, just being able to be actually open-minded to what the other person thinks. Like, all right, I get it.
And I think a big kind of like testing point for me is like, if I ever think about there being a disagreement or something on any topic or whatever, my head would more so be like, okay, that's there. How would I feel if we're raising children? That's like, that for me, I'm like, if my, because as a woman, like it's a maternal instinct goes blazing, like everything just like shuts down. So for me, if I'm like, I mean, thankfully, like we actually align on
a lot of things,
like everything that's pretty much important. I don't know.
Yeah, and you know what?
So it's like, yeah, so everything that's important. So it's like,
even with like, to bring things back to when we first met, it was so crazy is what aligned so well is, it's so funny that both of us were just like, well, before we met each other, we're like, I am a couple of steps out the door of Toronto. I'm a couple of steps out the door of Canada, and I think I just got to go somewhere else to find someone. And we're like, we're both, funny enough, in that same stage, and we're both kind of looking for the person that we kind of are. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy how that sort of worked out. I don't know. It's funny because we were both very like pessimistic about just dating. Like it was the first time, like before I met you, with that few like months, like kind of like half a year thing, it was like the first time in like my kind of adult female life or whatever, where I wasn't like thinking about a guy or like dating a guy or like having a boyfriend, like, you know what I mean? Like it was like
it happened to happen.
Like, like being boy obsessed is a lot. Like it's a lot. Like even if I wasn't dating or whatever with someone, I was like, oh, like no, like you're always thinking about that. But to be able to just like,
what's
have
funny?
that space,
Not too long before I met you, I was having a conversation with someone, and I think it was actually Seth Dyer who said it. There was something he said that inspired it for me, where it's like, you want to kind of approach dating the same way that you approach money, in the sense, specifically in the sense that if you chase it, it's going to run away. But if you allow it to just come in your life, you're going to have it come in your life.
And that's how it happened, because we weren't looking for it.
No.
For that.
It just happened. It's like, all right, it's in my life. Let me, accept this. Let me accept this blessing that came towards me.
And it's funny because our friend common mutual friend actually introduced us. So it really wasn't even like we were out like kind of like, oh, this person, like I just like my radar was not like that. But when it was brought to my attention, especially by a friend who I like care about and like I like how she moves, I'm like, okay.
Friends help a lot with that.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. It was like a really like respectable situation, and I was like,
Just a fun fact, we learned that wasn't the first time we were in the same room as each other or like in the same area.
Probably not. We actually like grew up not ever really in the same school or anything, but
the circles that
areas.
We were kind of like the circles that we like built around ourselves, like were very similar. The areas that we were in, like the events that we were at,
we were probably in the same room before that, but we just never met. Never met. Yeah.
But sorry.
Yeah, no, that's
an interesting fun fact.
That's funny. That was good. Yeah.
Yes.
Point it out.
And like so to bring it back with like the approach, and now you said that you don't want you don't want to force things. You want things to be organic, and having our friend that was able to introduce us to each other in this moment where we're just able to come in and accept things. Having that friend definitely helps a lot with being able to be more organic, because it's like, all right, I already mess with this person in this kind of way. You probably mess with this person in this kind of way. Let's be real and let's talk in this kind of light. Helps so much, and goes back to that earlier point of how important it is to just be yourself. And it is a tough thing where just being yourself, because being yourself, you're going to be rejected, but you know what? You have to kind of accept there's 8 billion people in this world, and at least 7 billion of them are not for you. Maybe way more than that.
I feel like, less people are for you.
Less people are for you.
Like, it's literally, like, maybe, like, in the whole world, like...
Let's say 500.
like, that you could actually, like, see yourself, like, getting somewhere with, and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller when it comes to that actual final, like, marriage situation. Like
I remember someone said to me, it was like I was talking with someone years ago, and they're like, I don't believe in there being the one. And to kind of wrap that part up, it's like there's not the one in the sense that there's only one person in the whole world that's for you, but there's probably going to be a one person that you end up with, and that's the concept of the one. So when you have that person that you're able to do it with that person. And
yeah, don't let it slip, because I feel like a lot of people, again, it's like a common dating thing in modern day where it's like, oh, like this person has this flaw and now I got like the ick, and everything that was perfect before has just been thrown away. And I feel like, I don't know, there's someone else out there who will give me that like that 10% or something. So it goes with that 80% to 20% thing where it's like you're with someone who has the 80%, which is very, very high. And like I said, no one is perfect. So no one is going to be this like 100% fantasy. Like if we're actually talking about it logically. If we're talking about it emotionally, it's like, yeah, of course, like even your flaws you love about the person because, you know, it makes them who they are. But a lot of people have that 80% situation, and they meet someone who has like the 15 or 20%, and they're just like, oh, see, like there's other people out there. I don't want to settle. Yeah. And it's like, it's not, there's a huge difference. The feeling of settling is very different, is very, very different than being with someone who you're embracing like the little imperfect aspects of, and you're choosing to stay with them to grow.
And I really like that. As I was going to say, I really want us to, because like we can go so deep with that part of the concept of settling and the emotional aspect of our self-worth and how we see that in relationship.
I feel like we both settled in life with people in different, like,
yes.
It's fine.
And it's understanding what is settling and versus what is growing with a person. And that's going to be, that might be the next one that we do. Comment below if that's what you want us to talk about next, or if there's anything else.
Yeah, that could be cool, because we both, like, experienced, I feel like, that in a way, and I feel like there's experience there to build off of and talk about.
So if you would like that, comment it below. If there's something else you want us to focus on next time, definitely let us know as well. And I want to thank my lovely fiance here for being here.
Thank
You guys for watching. If you support us, please comment, share, like anything that you can. Let us know anything we can improve on. Everything you do helps. And I appreciate all of you guys, honestly, so much for watching and being a part of these episodes. Please remember that with breath, you'll always have fight. Peace.